for his birthday.
In the latter half of the PS3 and Xbox 360 lifespan, there were two first-person shooters fighting for the top spot: Call of Duty and Battlefield. Both had their differences and strengths. Call of Duty was more fast-paced, somewhat story-driven, and had smaller map sizes, while Battlefield had large open maps and drivable vehicles. As you can probably tell, we are looking at Battlefield 3 on the PlayStation 3, which, looking back at the old rivalry that still seems to be going on today, I think the Battlefield series is the clear winner here. Released in 2011 and developed by DICE and published by EA, to start off, the Battlefield 3 campaign has you play as Henry Blackburn, who must recall his actions in the never-ending conflict in the Middle East so that a war between Russia and the US hopefully doesn't break out. Throughout the campaign, you will also play as a couple of other characters. These missions usually have you control a series of vehicles which are probably the most memorable of the campaign and look the best. Not to date myself or anyone watching, but when this game came out, I was in middle school, and I remember the graphics being just jaw-dropping, and the fact that I could play this on my console was just insane to me. Obviously, the game looks 10 times better when played on a PC, and now the modern Battlefield games blow these graphics out of the water, but at the time, this stuff was state-of-the-art. I also remember if you played on the Xbox 360, it was pretty much a requirement to install the HD texture pack they had, or else the game just looked like shit. That was a slight win for us PS3 players fighting in the console war, although I played on both. The only two major negatives to how the game looks are the large amount of blue in the color palette and the absurd lens flares from lights. The lens flares were a running joke when the game was released and honestly was well deserved. Flashlights could be equipped to your gun, and when used in multiplayer, it absolutely blinded your enemies when in close quarters. Same with the laser sights, but to a lesser degree. Other than those 2 points, the game looks fantastic, I think, and it is kind of crazy that this thing is even running somewhat well on this console. If you were to show middle school me a segment of the plane or tank mission and told me that was real combat footage, I would probably believe you. Graphically, it felt like games during this time were going through a transition period to full HD resolutions, although it would take some time and console generations for that to fully materialize. 2010 graphics aside, apart from the Bad Company series, I usually don't care for Battlefield campaigns. But BF3 story missions have some excellent set pieces. The aforementioned tank and plane mission, as well as the beginning on the assault on Tehran, being a standout. The voice acting and writing of the characters seemed believable enough, but I would say the parts where they just had the grunts talking to each other felt the most real compared to the cutscenes with the CIA interrogation.
What is this? School?
Oh, right. I keep forgetting. They don't have schools where you come from.
The gunplay is fast and responsive, something you'll see later in the review with its multiplayer, and due to this being a game released in the 2010s, it would not be the same without some good old-fashioned quick-time events. While they're not on the same level as like God of War, they are there nonetheless. At the very least, I would say the campaign for Battlefield 3 is worth at least one playthrough. To my knowledge, the series does not have any branching story when compared to its direct competitor Call of Duty, but it is a nice, pleasant experience and is better than the FPS campaigns coming out today.
Sergeant Campo, Blackburn, push on, as required.
That's fast air! Is that ours, is it? Shit! Did he see us? Did he see us?
Oh, he's doubling back. Holy fucking shit!
Hit the dirt!
This is where I talk about the multiplayer, which before I do, all the footage you're about to see is being played on the ZLO or ZLO emulator private server. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but the official EA servers were shut down a year ago, and some people who are a lot smarter than me have brought them back. Full rank progression and all. You do not even need a modded console to play. Just change some networking stuff in the PS3 menu, make an account with them, and you should be good to go. I'll leave an invite to their Discord if you want to join. Although I said you don't need to, I would strongly suggest modding your console so you can get all the DLC. Seriously, I don't know why people would play without the extra maps. The base game only has 9 maps, while if you have all the DLC, you have a total of 29 maps and some extra game modes like Capture the Flag to play. Honestly, if you're playing on the private server, or any private server for that matter, just get the DLC. There's literally no excuse. Anyways, without further ado, here's the newly revived multiplayer for Battlefield 3. I shouldn't have to tell you this, but the multiplayer in the Battlefield series is the whole reason you buy these games in the first place. The campaign in this game is decent, but the multiplayer is what makes these games shine. Non-stop mayhem, unlimited replay value, and differing class types with numerous ways to tweak how you play the game and even assist your teammates. Which, you know, always support your teammates, dudes. Even in Battlefield 6, people don't help each other out for some reason. Just PTFO, dude. While Conquest and Rush are always my preferred game type for these older Battlefield games, I would say when playing Battlefield 3 on console, Rush and Team Deathmatch are probably my go-to. For those that don't know or don't remember, the max player count on a server for consoles is 24 players. So having 24 players spread out over a large Conquest map doesn't really work and can be very boring at times. A higher player count was the main difference and biggest advantage PC players had against console players with this game. On PC, you can have 64 players on a server in even larger maps. On console, many Conquest maps were rightfully downscaled to a lower player count and weaker hardware. And with the weaker hardware comes with lower frame rates, which the game does go well below the 30 FPS mark when things start to get crazy. So, if that bothers you, you just gotta get used to it. So with all the downsides with the console version, why the hell would I waste my time and play a worse version when the PC servers are still up and running? Well, I want to support the PS3 private server scene any way I can, and this is how I originally played Battlefield 3. I remember playing the beta on a PS3 and getting fairly high in rank before firmly switching to PC gaming when I was entering high school. Which is funny because nowadays I find myself going back to consoles as I do more and more work on a computer. Weird how stuff happens. Like the other entries in the series, the sound effects are just top-notch. Everything from guns, explosions, planes, tanks, to whatever your teammates and enemies say. Everything in this game makes a sound like no other. It all comes together to give off the ambience of a true battle that you are taking part in. The jets doing strafing runs in the distance, tanks firing shots from a half-mile away. You better have a good goddamn stereo when you play this game, or at least a good pair of headphones. Cheap-ass TV speakers are just not gonna cut it. In every match, you're put into a squad with 3 other players, with the intention being everyone in the squad is playing a different class and assisting each other to quickly take down enemy vehicles and capture or destroy objectives. Which all this only happens if you're playing with your buddies. Very rarely does this ever happen with randoms, even in the modern Battlefield games. So, you know, not much has changed in that respect. If I had to choose my most played class, it would have to be Recon, which is traditionally the lame-ass sniper class, but every class has the ability to equip a certain number of submachine guns, so I equip one of those and run in with a spawn beacon, put that in a good position and go from there. I find it changes the course of an entire match half the time, and my teammates actually spawn on it, because, you know, no one likes spawning on someone and immediately getting gunned down. Another playstyle I like is being an engineer and littering mines all over the map, usually in places that are hard to see and are guaranteed to have somebody drive over it. So if you're playing and get killed by a mine, that was probably me, because surprisingly not a lot of people use mines even for a game that came out nearly 15 years ago. I would think the players now are absolute no-lights at the game, like me. The other 2 classes are Assault and Support. Assault wields assault rifles and is your medic class who revives and heals teammates. And the Support class wields LMGs and gives out ammo. Every class has other unlockable abilities to slightly change their playstyle, but they all do their designated function in the end. Assault and Support are my least played classes, not because they're bad. I think they have some of the best guns in the game. Ever since this game came out, I have had to have the spawn beacon no matter which Battlefield I am playing. Apart from the classes, the vehicles you can drive or pilot are the ones you would expect to see. You know, main battle tank, armored vehicle, attack choppers. They all play the way you would expect to. They're pretty much perfect. The only complaint I have is I think the choppers fly a little slow. That may just be because I'm used to the speed the helicopters go in Battlefield 6. So the tech behind vehicles has definitely evolved compared to past titles. As I said before, if you have all the DLC, you have a total of 29 different maps to play, which obviously some are better than others, especially with a 24 player count. I found that the launch maps and the first 2 DLCs, Back to Karkand and Close Quarters, play the best on this slimmed down version of the game. Close Quarters especially because, as the map pack name suggests, all the maps are extremely condensed. And honestly, the DLC feels like it was made with console in mind. I know people have their favorites like Operation Metro and Caspian Border, which is my personal favorite. I just will never understand people playing 24/7 Operation Metro all day, or even only the launch maps. Like, yeah, every once in a while I'll be up for a slaughter, but good God, man, not solely Op Metro. That stuff would get boring after like 2 or 3 matches. Again, if you're gonna play on this private server, I highly recommend modding your console and getting all the DLC. Honestly, now that I think about it, man, I should really review all the DLC just for kicks. I think that'd be dope. Battlefield 3 may not be the best in the series. I think BF4 is the gold standard, but I would say is the first modern Battlefield game. After this release going forward, this is how the series would play like. While there may be certain gimmicks in each game after this entry, at their core it would all play like 3. Destructible to semi-destructible buildings accompanied with warfare on land, sea, and air. While I was first a Bad Company fan, BF3 made me a Battlefield fan. After this game, I was immediately interested in whatever DICE was putting out, or whatever had the Battlefield name on it, like 1943 and Hardline. Even with its missteps, the Battlefield franchise is still going strong with the recent release of Battlefield 6, which to me, that game played like a mix of Bad Company and Battlefield 3 and 4. So although the tech in BF3 is dated, the concept and gameplay has definitely stood the test of time. Even after all these years, there are still enough people to play on a private server for a technically worse version of the game. That does not state that the game is good, I don't know what will. So just, dust off your PlayStation 3 and squad up, dudes. I'll see you on the battlefield.